Now there are two other things to note that are on the western side of our plot. One is this. This is the apple tree. Now this apple tree is a dwarf miniature, which means it never grows any higher than that. It never grows up, it never grows out. It is static in its growth, except for the fact that each year it brings out its leaves and its little blossoms. You can see it is in mid-blossom at the moment. The wind hasn't been blowing all the petals off. It would usually be in bloom until, you know, the end of the first week of May or whatever. It is a cross between a cooker and an eating, so you can eat it, but it is a bit tart. Tart enough for you to be able to cook with without any problems. As I said, we've still got the border on the flower area down here, and I do like to complement this area by sticking in capsicums and chilies. My mother doesn't eat them. Many of the family don't touch peppers at all, but they look so nice in an ornamental capacity that this is the sort of place where we do have a little. You can see the weeds that we dig out. We have enough room to put in a few. They usually die, but I still like doing it. Again, over here we've got another area that's quite full of stuff. Mainly it's just an area where we store pots and stuff like that. In front of it here is an area that looks like it's wasteland. It's not. This is my meadow garden, and I will soon come completely clear this bay and then let it grow with seeds that will attract birds and stuff like that. And I usually do that as soon as it starts to get warm in May. And so by about July time you have a huge meadow here of wild flowers, and I like cornflowers in it, I like poppies and stuff like that, so that's good. Again, this hasn't been cleared yet, but this will be for radishes. What we will probably do is empty that completely onto there, in fact, and then refill it with more compost, I think, because that earth does not look brilliant. Along here we have our raspberries. Now these raspberries are summer fruiting, and you can see that already they have their little tiny buds on them. They were sold to us as autumn fruiting, which is what we originally really wanted. But and the problem with raspberries is you have to know what they are, because you have to prune them accordingly, otherwise they don't produce. So they were sold to us as autumn flowering. We treated them as autumn flowering. Nothing happened. So we decided to treat them one year as summer flowering, and suddenly we had raspberries everywhere. So therefore they were summer flowering raspberries, and we put them in this pre-existing metal frame, which was, when we first arrived, a hothouse, which they used, the previous tenants used for drying onions. We dismantled that, and we've used it to sort of house the raspberries. Now, recently we have got some more raspberry canes along here. Those things at the back there are supposedly autumn flowering, and we've extended the sort of frame a little bit, and hopefully in a year or two's time we will have those in the summer and those in the autumn. Now, because we're going to have a difficulty with space here, we've decided to plant all our salad leaves in front, you see, and we can continue that in front of this as well, because what will happen is the salad will grow quite quickly and we'll harvest it. Then we'll be able to harvest the raspberries, and then we'll probably still have time to do another set of lettuce. It's about making the most of the space that you have. So we have both red, green and little gem. You can see some of the red and some of the green. I'm not sure the little gem has been planted yet. I think that will probably go under there. As you can tell, what was here before were my three exotics that I tried to grow. We tried avocado, we tried passion fruit, and we tried something else which I can't remember. Papaya, that was it, and all three lasted the first year but did nothing. I thought they were going to die, but they managed to struggle through the winter. They lasted the second year, and then across this winter they really did die, so we dug them up. It's, you know, we try things and sometimes they don't work, and that was one of the things that didn't work. Another development is across here, where we have our 4 rotational bays, but they are raised beds. And these are for things that need special care. For example, carrots that need carrot fly netting. I'm trying to think of something else. Sweet potato plugs, for example. And the idea is that we could rotate them between bays every year, so you didn't always have the same thing growing in the same soil, because believe it or not, that some plants give and some plants take, and they take and give different things. So the idea is that you don't use the same patch to grow the same thing all the time, if it's one of the major vegetable types, particularly if it's just an annual, obviously. But nothing is planted in these yet. You can also see that we have down this part, the southern sort of area, we've got my herb garden, which is coming on. It's just suddenly woken up again. We have this is lemon balm, and it smells citrusy, it smells like lemon. This is sorrel, but you do need to cut off any of the flowers that show, because otherwise they blow about and you'll have sorrel everywhere. This is marjoram, I think, and sage, or is that marjoram and that sage? It's one or the other, I can't remember which one's which. My chamomile died here, my chamomile and feverfew. My feverfew I was growing for my sister because it's good for migraines. Around here we've got golden oregano down there, and this is curry leaf. And this area has done what I wanted it to do, and that's to sort of merge together, so you can't tell where one thing ends and one thing starts. We've got two different types of thyme here. We've got chives, and you can see the little pods with the chive flowers are coming up. And then two types of rosemary over here, and my rosemary is terribly happy because it is blooming like, you know, like you've never seen rosemary bloom before. Mint. Now the mint is in fact coming back here. We thought it had died, it wanted to get out of the pot, but you never let mint out of the pot because you can never get it back. This is our rhubarb, and it needs splitting this year. We know that because it has flowered. I removed the flower which was there, but it is huge. This is lemon thyme, by the way, that never recovers for some reason. I don't know why. It doesn't like it here. My father once ran over it with a wheelbarrow and it's never been the same since. And if I can just show you here, these are tiny little spring onions. They are in fact red spring onions this year, so those will come up very shortly. I've been waiting for them. The only other thing on the southern strip here, you can see a bit of spare land, don't know what that's going to be used for yet, is the wigwams ready for the sweet peas, which you can plant out now, but having had so much issues with sweet peas, we like to do them a little bit later. And these are my artichokes. These were a sort of fascination of mine from last year, and then we realised that they are perennials, so they come back every year, so we had to move them from out of the rotational bays over there and into a little section where they can just grow on their own.